Ladies and gentlemen, there will likely be indictments of more than 7 people involved in the tragic, horrendous, evil, despicable, and diabolical act of taking Charlie Kirk's life. This is an article in The Hill. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said Sunday that the alleged assassin of conservative activist Charlie Kirk was in a romantic relationship with his roommate, who the governor said is cooperating with law enforcement. The roommate is cooperating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is a Washington Free Beacon article right here. Exclusive. And hit subscribe to this channel right now. You will hear some of the legal analysis in a second. FBI investigating social media accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of Kirk assassination. There were people he spoke to that knew before the act, and there were people he spoke to that knew after as well. The roommate almost certainly knows everyone involved, as does Tyler Robinson. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is investigating social media posts by at least 7 different accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So you have 7 people involved, according to the Washington Free Beacon. 7 people, including Tyler Robinson. Now, Discord and other social media sites have a lot more than 7 people. There's a lot more than 7 people involved. And this is a former FBI assistant explaining that a lot more people are going to be indicted.
Yes, it does, and it argues perhaps that the roommate was cognizant of what was going to occur or had just occurred, and that's absolutely going to be a very, very focused aspect of this investigation. You can imagine federal government pulling very hard at this. John, you will tell you that almost certainly by now a preservation order has been issued to Discord, which is a gaming app, to make sure they preserve all relevant stuff relative to this case that's on their servers. They're in San Francisco, so you can get to them. It's not like reaching some overseas entity. And they're going to be looking, that is the feds, will be looking for a potential federal nexus, something going across state lines or that implicates a federal statute. And one of the things that could happen here is that if this was a conspiracy, if there were a few people involved and they're communicating by Discord, well, there's your element. There's your operative element of a federal crime, because internet messages go across state lines. It's used for jurisdiction all the time. You have your federal conspiracy case, and that is whole thing's in Fedland.
Now, this is, of course, pure speculation on my part. Okay, so number one, the roommate, as of right now, is completely innocent. Okay? For legal purposes and moral purposes, I'm going to state that right now. As of right now, the roommate is cooperating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. There is the possibility that the roommate was in on everything. There is the possibility that the roommate knows the people that Tyler Robinson spoke to before and after assassinating Charlie Kirk, okay, which was, by the way, an abomination. Nothing Charlie Kirk did ever warranted this despicable act. Nothing. Okay, you're allowed to speak your mind in America. And if there are truly harmful views, you file a lawsuit, you go to the police that Democrats want to defund, Second Amendment allows you to protect yourself. Okay, that's the same Second Amendment that Democrats want to erase, as progressive politicians spend $30,000 a year for security details. Okay, and so there are ways to protect yourself in a world where words, where you find words dangerous. Okay, you cannot end the life of a human being because of words. End of story. And Charlie Kirk said nothing to deserve this, nor did he create any world where this is commonplace or acceptable. Okay, but this is the issue. It's very, very unlikely that one person and one person alone is only going to be indicted. Okay, what is likely is that the roommate is either spilling the beans on everyone, or other people are turning on people left and right. So you have the roommate cooperating right now with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and law enforcement in Utah. The roommate has given the Discord messages and other messages and everything they're asking for, according to reports in a whole bunch of Axios, a whole bunch of publications. Okay, NBC News. Then you have the DNA evidence, and we talked about all of this in the past couple of days. So I'm just using basic logic and reasoning skills and just a certain knowledge of law enforcement, criminal behavior, criminal science. And so this is not rocket science here. Okay, here's a question for everyone watching. Did he work or plan, Tyler Robinson, did he work or plan this with anyone? Was anyone else involved? Yes or no?
You know, Paul, I also want to quickly tick through some of the messages that we learned were on the bullets, including, "Hey, fascist." There was a mention, if you read this quote, "You are gay, LMAO." Some of them indiscernible messages. We also know that he, in fact, was at a family dinner where he articulated that Charlie Kirk was coming to that campus, that he did not like Charlie Kirk, and that he felt Charlie Kirk was full of hate. That dinner had to have taken place in the last 6 days. That is the timeline in which Charlie Kirk announced this event. I bring up all this information because you've got the conspiracy hook there potentially for federal charges. But what about terrorism? Because some of this points to perhaps having a political motive.
Are you tired of
something domestic terrorism without actually charging it? The instances of federal charges being brought for terrorism not involving a foreign entity are as rare as hen's teeth. Almost always you need a foreign entity involved for the terrorism. So I'm skeptical of getting federal terrorism charges on this, but I don't think it really matters. In fact, I would argue you may be better off with the state charges because state prosecutors are much more used to doing murder prosecutions, which is essentially what this is. So unless it takes an unexpected turn here, I think that ultimately this devolves to state court, unless I said we get this conspiracy piece. And again, they're going to be pulling in all of this. It'll be interesting to watch how the arraignments go. You'll remember the Mangione thing where they were dueling arraignments. I think a lot of that was because the federal government really didn't trust Alvin Bragg's office to bring that case in. This case, I don't think they'll have those trepidations. So let's see who ends up with the arraignment and who ultimately prosecutes the case.
And of course, the death penalty being an option there in Utah. Paul Morrow, thank you. We'll get back.
And of course, all the social media sites where people planned this are working with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay, just like the Federal Bureau of Investigation worked with the Twitter's trust and safety team during the Biden years, and even last year of President Trump's administration, not because of Trump's administration, but because of a whole bunch of other issues. But you have the Federal Bureau of Investigation working with social media sites where individuals planned this despicable act. There's no way in my mind, based on the evidence, that only one person was involved. Okay, do you think one person, only Tyler Robinson, was involved? When you're talking about social media and you're talking about a roommate that he allegedly had a romantic relationship with.
How did this young man become so radicalized? That's the big question. Who was whispering to him? Who was talking to him? And when the governor described these text messages or these electronic communications and that law enforcement was able to take screenshots, who was he talking with? You don't send those two.
Sorry. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is investigating social media posts by at least 7 different accounts. Okay, this is according to the Washington Free Beacon, which is what we just talked about that, in the beginning of this segment. If you have 7 different accounts where investigators are looking at their posts of knowledge prior to all of this, okay, and then you have the governor of Utah stating, well, there might have been a romantic relationship between the roommate. You have a romantic relationship. You have social media accounts. You have evidence of knowledge before and after the fact. If the roommate with the alleged romantic relationship has completely turned on Tyler Robinson, what do you think everyone else that he spoke to is going to do? Okay, that's why it's like the old phrase with friends like these, who needs enemies? hit subscribe right now.